What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sick Flicks with Dylan and Skip. I'm your host and friend, Skip Marazi, and here with Dylan Farr, a fantastic stand-up, and we're
Hi.
known the worldwide as your autistic Spitfire. Uh, uh, welcome, Dylan. How are you?
I'm doing okay today. I'm just having a good day. We're reviewing one of my favorite movies,
Same, yeah.
and
And we've been talking about this movie for a while. I think since we started talking horror movies, we've talked about this movie. So I'm very very excited to be reviewing it finally. I think it's a movie that doesn't get reviewed and people don't even know about. Like especially, I mean, even people who are in like who do like horror movies, they're not aware of this one. So I'm
it really went under the radar. I
which
took
is
a horror and sci-fi lit class in college,
okay,
and my professor was like, "Oh, that's on my list of things to watch."
but hadn't watched it, right?
Like it's
Uh,
exactly.
which is crazy to me
I don't.
because this movie, which I'm going to call that now, is Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon from 2006. This movie is a fan favorite. I mean, I mean, from the content of the movie, you're very aware that the writer and director, and probably the people who are on the project, they're huge horror fans. And so it's weird
Oh
to me
yeah,
that horror
all
fans,
the little Easter eggs in this movie are
yeah.
just beautiful.
And we'll talk about them because they are you're right. They're sprinkled in places that you like don't even suspect they're going to be there. They don't even reference them too hard. They're just there that you should know about them because you're a horror fan, you know. Um, yeah. So like it's weird to me that that people who you love horror, this movie doesn't get love back like that. So. Yeah, it got a 6.7 on IMDb. So people who have seen it like very much respect this movie. It's a movie that holds up in its own right. It's not just a parody. It's not like Scary Movies series. Like it's making a bunch of references that you should know, and that's where the joke is. It has its own life to it. It's about the life of Leslie Vernon, as we find out that that's just a thing. But right, like so, and there's a lot that's in this movie, and so I think it's a great movie by itself. It sets itself up as a prequel, as a following to these other films, but it doesn't have a sequel, which I think is a shame. But we'll talk about it.
I, I,
Dylan, your
I
thoughts? So you give
I
me a
think the
slight
movie was
correction.
really well done. I do also think it was kind of choppy in places,
Okay, that's fair. Because of the two different
but
styles, right? Like it's a documentary, but
yeah,
it's also its own horror movie, right? And so like that
yeah.
transition is super weird. Although in my opinion, that's one of the best things about it because it's not a found footage movie. They're like actually, and that's I'll spoil the twist. There's a twist that it's no longer a documentary at one point, right? Um,
Yep,
so I'm sorry. Continue your
yep.
thoughts.
There's
I cut you off there.
like I think the part that's really one of the choppiest
Mm-hmm.
is the library scene.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I was going to comment on that too. We're going to call out, of course, that it's Zelda Williams, right? Is her last name?
Zelda Rubinstein.
Rubenstein, sorry. It's Zelda Rubinstein's last movie, which you guys know who she is because she's a little person, a well-known little person in Hollywood. I know her from one episode
If
of
you
Picket
want to
Fences, but
know If you want to know where one of her earliest roles was, it was in Poltergeist. She was the medium.
yeah, that's and she's probably most recognizable in that. Yeah, a cute little button of a lady. And I'm not to. I'm sorry. That sounds like I'm talking down, and maybe it is in some ways. I don't know if that's appropriate for the little person community, or what is the appropriate language for that. Unfortunately, because I'm not as PC as I should be. But she's adorable. She does always gives a really good performance. In this one, I feel like she's probably a little bit older, and so it's harder for her to do that, and that's understandable.
Yeah,
But yeah,
her her earliest role was in a movie called Americathon.
okay.
That was in 1979.
Okay, that is
Um, she
America thought.
didn't. She didn't. She did the voice of Atrocia Flintstone. Atrocia Frankenstone on the Flintstones comedy show back in 1980.
Okay, she's been around a
Um,
while. Yeah.
she was in. She was Iris in Under the Rainbow. Then came Poltergeist, where she played Tangenia,
Okay, right, yeah. I think
the
again that's probably her
medium.
most recognizable role, because Poltergeist is such a like a
And Poltergeist 2
cornerstone
and
staple.
Poltergeist 3.
She's in all of them. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, I think that I've only seen the first Poltergeist, which is a little shame on me. But it was
She was the voice of Darkwing Duck's mother.
that's fantastic. Right? Oh wow, that's awesome. As you're scanning over her IMDb, are you seeing that she's doing like she did a lot of voice work more than she's done acting? I mean, on-screen appearances?
No,
Because
she's done
it's
a
all acting.
lot of. She's done more acting than voice work.
And is it a lot of TV also?
There's a lot of TV and stuff.
That was one of the things I noticed about this cast in
There's a lot of
particular
movies.
as I was looking it up is that a lot of the people who are in this movie are TV actors and not film actors, and that might be an explanation as to why it hasn't translated as well to like the film community. Um, I'm not positive about that. But one of the things that I was noting, which I think is really interesting, is that the guy who plays Leslie Vernon, who I think is fantastic. Actually, he's one of my favorite like horror icon character actors. Because of the way that he plays Leslie Vernon as this kind of like real fun, cutesy like dude who's like, everything is fine, and we're just running around and stuff. But he doesn't. You look at his stuff. He did one show. I think it's called Visions or Visionaries or something like that.
Which one are we talking about
I'm
again?
sorry, the main character who's the guy who plays Leslie.
Basil.
Thank you. Yeah, Nathan Basil. Sorry for transitioning quickly on you like that. Um, but yeah, so for
Uh,
him,
he
he did that. He did a one TV show,
he
and then you
did.
see most of his
He's done a
credits.
lot of production work.
Yeah, a lot of his credits are post production work, where he's an editor. He's in the editing. Well, maybe he's not an editor, but he's part of the editing team for a lot of stuff. Like he did Storage Wars. He did the series of Storage Wars. He does like the Deadliest Catch. Reality TV. Like he's on post production for reality TV. So I was really happy for him to see that he's gotten a lot of work. And then I was disappointed because it's not acting work. But I think obviously he's good
I
at what he
thought he
does.
was a great actor.
Yeah,
He was perfect as Leslie. I mean, absolutely
homie.
perfect.
Yeah, you can't
Right
say that.
down to the last minute detail.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't think there's a more perfect Leslie Vernon. To be honest, like I don't think you could recast this with anybody. You have to use this guy. And that's one of the reasons I feel like the sequel hasn't come out or hasn't been done, even though 2006 to 2026, it's been 20 years. This movie's been around for 20 years. It's a classic by this time. Um, and so like you can't really recast.
Huh, he was just in something this year.
But look
He
at
was in Bloody Summer Camp 2 Red
two. It's the
Horizon.
sequel. Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, people aren't recognizing this actor for the talent that he is. Now, if you look at his look too, it's changed a little bit. He is trying to look like a tough guy, whatever. And he's been in LA for 20 years. He's been working for
Yeah.
20 years, behind the scenes and stuff like that. So maybe he's changed a bit. Maybe he was more like he was, as Leslie Vernon, and he's become something else, which is possible in 20 years. But like for me, like it's just like I don't know. He's charming. He's good looking. He's funny. He thoroughly understands the creepy aspect of this character. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You know,
Like
like
I think that opening line of talking about his turtles
hmm
just really sets the stage for how
well,
twisted this
and then
person
again,
is.
right? It's not that he says the line. The line that you're talking about is the little guys just won't die. But like it's
Little,
a little bugger.
I
Yeah,
don't feed them for
I
days
don't feel
on
it for
end.
days.
The little bastards just won't
Just won't
die.
die. And I think in the hands of like a less talented actor, it would have come across as super creepy. But the thing is that you can laugh off that line and only see it in retrospect how fucking creepy that line is. Speaks to how good this dude is. Like there's this character that should come across as like a devious serial killer, right? Or played off as like as a gag because the movie's kind of a gag. But he walks that balance. It's very nuanced between the two of them, you know. So it works. He makes
It
something that shouldn't.
just the dichotomy of a narcissistic psychopath
Yeah,
is is just perfectly displayed through his acting
and
because he
that's
can
yeah,
be gentle and
yeah,
comforting
yeah.
and welcoming, but then you can see him turn at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, there's two things that happen, right? One of them, they both happen at the same location, but it's two different scenes. This is an example of what you're talking about. They're about to creep up on the girl, and he hugs Tay, the interviewer, and he's so excited about this moment that's about to happen. And then later the next day or something like that, they go to check and talk to her, and he's meeting her at the van, and she starts to have a conversation. He says, "That's the last bit that you get to say," because she says just his name, and then he slams her up against the van, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
he doesn't just slam her,
yeah,
like
and then
he grabs
yeah,
her by the neck
yeah,
and
choke
slams
slams
her
her against the
against
van.
that van.
Right. And so you see
He's
the
like,
two of these because in that moment he starts real friendly, like, oh, that's cool, we're gonna have a conversation, and then just flips on her. And so again, like, and there's no breaking character. You know what I mean? It's not like he's demonstrating two different characters. What you get to see is this character has two very complex sides to him. Uh, and
yeah,
and that's why I'm like, I can't believe this guy didn't get picked up right away in 2006 after the Rise of Leslie Vernon comes out. And they were immediately like, we got to do a fucking franchise with this guy, or we need to cast him in everything because he's got everything Chris Pratt has. You know what I mean? Like he
yeah,
could play Star Lord, and he could be fine doing it. He could have been in Parks
I
and
can
Rec.
see that.
You know what I mean? Like he has the charm and the like depth of other characteristics. Like he knows how to do it. So, yeah, I just wanted to call that out. Like one of the main actors, Nathan Bassel, I think is what you said his name was, right? Uh, is
Let me figure out how to pronounce his
I'm
name
so sorry.
properly so we
I
do him justice.
yeah, I'd be like, I love this guy, and I'm like, I can't even remember his fucking name. But like, you know what I mean? Like in 20 years, that all he's doing is really post production, and he's not being valued for the acting that he can do. I'm like, damn, that's a shame, Hollywood. Y'all missed. I wouldn't say the best years of his life, but I mean, you missed him as the romantic lead that he could have been. Uh, you put him in any number of roles, and I'm sure that he can do fine. And maybe he only empathizes with this script. Maybe he only like maybe he blew every other audition he ever did after that, and that's why it is the way that it is, right? Um, I don't know. I don't know his career. I would love to sit down and talk to him about what has happened and how that went down for him over the last 20 years. Because I mean, I'm gonna repeat it. This movie is a gold mine, and if you haven't,
Basil.
Basil, okay,
Basil is
okay,
how you say his last name.
thank you.
I'm sorry. I want to give this man the respect he deserves.
You
Nathan
Yeah,
Basil.
you in no way need to apologize, Dylan, because as we've mentioned on the show, I love having you on the as facts checker because I will run and just talk out my ass, and you'll be like, hold up, hold up, hold up, that's not quite correct. Let's make sure that we inform people properly, which we should be doing. And so for Nathan Basil, like I feel he's wildly undercelebrated, especially for this role. But I think in the larger view of what he's capable of, absolutely.
His Wikipedia page needs to be updated with all the stuff he's done because
Homie,
they are not doing him
homie, that's the
justice on
thing is
there.
that like I'm super surprised that he doesn't have a fan base. I mean, there are tons of like fangirls who love the attractive male lead. Uh, and they're not girling over this dude. You know what I mean? It's so fucking weird to me. Demonetization right there. But no, it's just that's just so weird to me because like look at what's that show about the two brothers, Supernatural? Is that the the
Yeah,
correct one?
like
And it
yeah,
like
Jensen Ackles. Women go nuts over that
that's
man.
that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking like that. Like this Leslie Vernon character has everything that you would cast on Why did I just forget the name of that show? Supernatural. Jesus. I mean, he could have played Lucifer, right? He could have been either one of those brothers. And I think it's a little earlier. I think it's earlier than 2006 that show starts. But that's he's like typecast like for like panty dropping, for like girls loving the bad boy type shit. So for me, it's just like how do they how do they miss this guy? And maybe he just got so much work as in his post production, he didn't have time to audition anymore and didn't feel like it was worth the rigmarole, given that he has a full time job on Storage Wars or whatever. I've monopolized the conversation here.
And
I'm sorry, but
this man was just, he's charming,
mhm.
he's good looking, and he's just got this edge to him. He's kind of like, trying to think. You said Chris Pratt. I want to say someone.
Well, so all I'm saying is that I'm not saying that he is Chris Pratt because there's a distinct difference there. But what I'm saying is that he could play any role Chris Pratt has played, and I think that
Yeah, he's got that. He's
yeah,
got the acting ability.
yeah,
He's a proficient actor,
yeah.
and he does not get the recognition he deserves.
And I'm
He
saying
is a great actor.
I'm also saying that
You
he's the
know,
full package type of actor. Like he's good looking, he's doing the work because you see that he's super fit and doing the work in all of it, and he's a good actor. Like that's the trifecta of like a male lead. Um, so I'm mystified. Maybe I'm mystified personally as an actor, now in my 40s, who's like, why would they overlook such a talented person? He reminds me of a young me, or some bullshit like that. But maybe that's all
uh,
it is. This whole conversation is projection. But like I'm just like, dang, like
he's
Hollywood
done a
doesn't.
lot of production work,
You
though.
see, you
I
see.
don't I don't think they let him go. They were like, maybe not as an actor, but as a production guy, you'd be perfect.
Well, it's obviously he has those skills, right? Because those jobs are not easy to get, and that's not easy work. Not that acting is easy work or that acting roles are easy to get either. But to be a person who's counted on and depended on in Hollywood regularly for large productions, large budget productions, like the ones that mentioned. And then he's part of the series that does it because you see that he does, I think, Storage Wars in different locations. And then there's a couple of other ones
Yeah.
where I was like, oh, he did not only the original show, but he did the spin-offs too, because they were like, you're very capable. You're going to be below the line, and we're going to keep paying you. Please keep signing on to these projects with us because we can count on you. And that there's
Yeah.
something to be
Well,
said for that for sure.
he he showed a tenacity with the way he gave himself to this character.
That's what
So
I'm
I can
saying.
only
Yeah.
imagine how much, dedication and stuff he puts into production work. The
Yeah,
fact that he's done all the deadliest catch stuff,
you see that.
that's a testament,
It
because that means he was on those boats at one point or another.
could have been. I think it's post production, and so he's doing it sounds like or what it looks like to me. What he's good at is he's really good at logistics, because what that means is
Okay.
we need to make sure we set the cameras up here, here, and here. We need to make sure that we get the shots that we need. We need to get all the footage in the right bins, and then make sure that it's getting to the edited the way it's supposed to. It's a TV show, so there's a tight schedule on it too. So. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not sure where he was involved with the production itself in that. Um, Dang, sorry, got lost my focus for 1 second there. But then also but yeah, that he's counted on, that he's doing the hard work because editing work is not the glory stuff. It's not the stuff that makes
No, it's
you know
really not.
unless you're doing a fantastic job and doing startling things, you're not going to get awards for that, right? You're just going to get to keep working, um, which is good. I mean, no complaints in getting to keep working, right?
Well, everything he's worked on, he's done in some has something to do with some sort of murder, it seems, like any acting stuff. Even he was on CSI.
Yeah, you see that. Yeah, he is get those roles to do the type of stuff that's related to that. And like you said, he just did. He's doing that sequel, the Bloody Sunday or whatever. And so
Bloody Summer Camp 2,
Bloody
Red
Summer Camp 2,
Horizon.
which is, so like people are recognizing like, yeah, he is part of the horror community. Like he is a member of this genre when he gets to act. But yeah, again, not giving him the
A
main
fun little fact about this movie, though,
okay,
we have to point this out.
the Rise of
For
Leslie Vernon
anyone
or
that
the
has seen for anyone that has seen the Hatchet series,
oh
there is a little blurb in Hatchet 2 where at one point they're talking about going into the woods to find Victor Crowley and stuff, and
the
the
main
guy's like,
character from
"Who's?"
of Hatchet.
One guy leans forward is like, "Who's Victor Crowley?" And they explain to him, he's a local legend that murders people and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, kind of like this guy we have back in my hometown of Glen Echo, Leslie Vernon."
Ah, very nice, very nice.
They're in the same universe. They are in the same universe
That's
because
and
it's the same production company.
oh, is it Glen Echoes Productions
No,
or is it
Aries Scope.
okay, gotcha. That okay, that's awesome. I'm glad that they did that and that they referenced that he's not gone. That the legend can
Sorry, distributed by Anchor Bay Entertainment. Where's the production company?
Anchor Bay, of course. Anchor Bay did the Rise of Leslie Vernon also. Um, I noticed because I do like Anchor Bay projects. I feel like they will generally give you something unusual to look at or fresh rather. Guys, as we're taking this pause, I'm just calling out that this is a behind-the-scenes podcast for Cox in Space, and that's why you're seeing the Cox in Space up on the screen. I'm working on the animation right now for our theme song. Been working on it for over a week now. I do have to work another job that's not this, so that's why things are taking a little while, but it is coming together. So if you guys want to check the updates, you can go to coxinspace.com. Check out what's going on. Keep up with the shows that we have going on there. You guys can also tune in tonight. We're going to be doing a
Okay, this
live
is
drawing with
fun.
Jack. So come in and tune in to that too. What you got, Dylan?
Uh, Special interest. In addition to feature films, Anchor Bay distributed special interest titles, including children's series such as Bobby's World and PBS's Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood until 2008.
Anchor Bay?
They distributed Thomas and Friends. Okay, the fact that they do this and then do like stuff like that, that's just beautiful.
See, I just love, yeah, that's why I love that company is because they're gonna be showing you stuff that's interesting and obviously that they feel is, Bobby's World, that's fun. And then also Mr. Rogers. So Bobby's World is such a dated reference. I mean, how many seasons does that show have? Two? Um, it's wild.
Uh, I think it's like 2 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, at least 'cause I remember it blipped momentarily. It was everywhere because somebody was related to, somebody prominent was on the project, and then it was no more. So, but
Yeah, it was Howie Mandel in Bobby's World,
that's
just for the record.
that's right. Yeah, I was trying to remember
He
who
was the
it was.
voice of Bobby Generic and Howard Generic. I didn't know Bobby had a last name
It's generic.
as Generic. Oh
Like
my god,
that's
I
it, right?
love that
Yeah,
so much.
like it's such a silly. And then yeah, just so Howie Mandel, if you guys are wondering, yeah, who is now I think
Apparently there were
mainly known
7
for.
seasons.
That's surprising. That's real surprising.
91 to 98.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so it was around almost the whole time I was coming up as a kid. So wild. Okay, so it was everywhere for a while. Howie Mandel, of course, who is on American Idol right now, is one of the judges. I think is his most notable current thing. But no shade on American Idol, just as it is. That's where people go when their careers die. No shade. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's okay. My sponsor
mhm.
in recovery,
Yes.
he actually got to perform for what show was it? I think America's Got Talent.
Okay.
he performed for Howard Stern. They actually tried signing him in the band he was in,
Right on.
but then they wanted like 30% of everything they released, even from before they got signed.
Ooh, yeah, that's kind of a dirty
Like
deal.
basically it was selling their soul away.
Well, I mean, 30% isn't bad, but when you cut in everything else, if they're not paying for stuff and things like that, if they're not covering the cost, and you have to split that up between the whole band and whatnot. Anyway, but let's get into it, shall we? I think we've done enough like foreplay on the title itself. And who we love. Do you have any additional comments you wanted to talk about in general about this? Should we call out that Robert Englund is in this movie?
Yes, we have. All right, we have Robert England, Scott Wilson. Now,
Well,
everyone here should know Scott Wilson because he was in one of the biggest shows from. Let me check when that was on. Uh, for those that don't know, Scott Wilson played Herschel in The Walking Dead from
okay,
2011,
okay, that's okay. 2011.
2011 to 2018.
So okay, that's good that he's is known. Remember that this movie comes out in 2006, and this is the thing that mystified me about Robert Wilson is that he's
Scott
relatively
Wilson.
sorry, Scott Wilson. Um, my bad. Thank you. He's relatively unknown. Like if you look at his IMDb before that, the most prominent thing he's in, I think, is the second Poltergeist, the second Exorcist, or third Exorcist, something like that. Like he's not really a person for how prominent he is in the story. I'm just gonna call it. We're talking about the mentor, right? Like Leslie Vernon's mentor. Who was supposed to have been this
Yeah.
slasher from back in the day. I felt like Robert Englund was actually supposed to be cast in that role because it would make more sense for him to be talking about his work as Freddy than it was to have Robert Wilson talk about it when we don't know him so well. Um, so I'm glad that he did get the work on the on
Oh yeah, he was in a lot of stuff though. Like okay, he was in 2001's Pearl Harbor. Jesus Christ.
yeah, exactly. See, that's
Oh
sort of stuff
no.
to talk about. Like he's there for sure, but you see that he's not a horror icon.
Oh,
Like
he
I
was in GI Jane.
and then also I think he's there like as like a general or something like that. Um, and
You
I
want to know where he was most notable?
yeah.
Shiloh.
Okay, the dog
Fucking
the dog
Shiloh.
movies. Yeah, okay, I got you. Um,
Yeah, he was Judd Travers.
Now get this again, but like when he does the Rise of Leslie Vernon, he's not a horror icon, and that's the part that I think is really interesting. Is that like it would have been interesting, it would have been fun to have Robert Englund in that role, or the guy who played Mike Myers, or the guy who played who's Pinhead, right? Any one of those guys would have been super cool in that role, and that's kind of how they treat him as the character. But
Oh,
like
you're thinking of Doug Bradley.
Doug Bradley, thank you. Yeah. And I couldn't remember the Mike Myers
You
actor
know,
name either.
since we brought up Doug Bradley, I
Mhm.
have another movie we have to add to our list.
Oh, okay. All right.
1990s Nightbreed.
Oh, Nightbreed. Oh my God. I mean, we should, but
It had some of the best special effects,
for the time.
like best makeup. No, the best makeup. Like
That
the
that
makeup of those characters
that
was just
that I'll give you.
fucking superb.
Yeah, that'll give you.
It was just
And it really does hit our sick flicks like genre, like the motif that we like. Practical effects, practical makeup, practical sets, camera work is what's doing the creepiness, right? Not an oversaturation of really bad CG like we see today. What we consider these sick flicks. Yeah, I think Nightbreed should be on the list. You want to do Nightbreed after we do Assault on Precinct 13? Is that the one we're doing next week?
sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're doing Assault on Precinct 13 next week.
right,
That
sweet.
is one of my favorite movies of all time,
Is
Assault on Precinct 13.
that's
And I'm
awesome.
talking about the original, not the
No, yeah, we're
remake,
not doing the
because
remake.
that just deals with police corruption and things like that. And I'm like, you know what? It took away the fact that, you know, these cops, it set a line in a community where you know the the cops had to trust the criminals in
Right.
order to just survive, and
Right.
that's the thing. When you already have distrust among your own people and like distrust towards the other people, it's hard to make that work.
That's fair, and we'll review
Because
that.
like it's hard to make a genuine "Hey, we're coming together" moment.
That's fair, and we'll definitely review that more next week when we do that John Carpenter film, and I'm excited to do it too. So we'll do that. We'll do Nightbreed because of Doug Bradley after that, which is super fun. But let's get into this review. Since yeah, that looks like we're right about on time for that. One of the things I really liked about it is it starts with the movie where we see this spooky thing where we're watching this waitress take the trash out, and it's
Yep.
definitely everything that we expect from a horror movie. Like it's the
She
introduction
puts a
of a horror movie.
brick.
Yeah,
She puts a brick in front of the door to keep the door propped open.
she's a little bit spooked because there's something
And
in the bushes watching her. We get a POV shot from the
yeah,
bushes, so we know something is watching her. Very, very horror movie to do this for us, right? We're from the point of view of
yeah.
the killer. Or yeah, the brick slides suddenly. She's locked out. She has to run around. She's scared. And this is where we meet Kelly, right? Our who we find out
Yep.
we're led to believe that this is the survivor girl. This is the one who's supposed to
Yep. This
defeat
is
Leslie.
supposed to be the one, kind of like Jamie Lee,
Yeah,
basically the Jamie Lee Curtis
the
or the
final
Heather
girl.
Langenkamp,
Yeah, yeah,
the final
our
girl.
final girl.
And I'm not even gonna try to name all the final girls in the Jasons, like Friday the 13th series, because there were so
There's
many.
just too many. They
Oh,
keep signing on and be like, well, I guess we can't do that anymore. So yeah, but yeah, it's fun. So they set it up that it is if you're watching the movie and be like, okay, this movie is just like every other movie because it kind of feels like it. Wait it out because the movie is not what you're expecting, and that might be one of the reasons it doesn't work is because it blows those expectations. Maybe it's just too aware of its own genre because of the documentary that happens right after this. Because we see the girl spooked. It cuts to the title, and then it cuts to this smaller frame documentary, small camera documentary, and we're introduced to Taylor, who starts giving us the rundown of how. Friday the 13th is real. Nightmare on Elm Street is real. Jason Voorhees is real. And we're going to meet a new slasher who's stepping up, and that's Leslie Vernon. Um, this boy who is supposedly possessed by evil and who was abused and was thrown over a waterfall as the result. Um, do
I
you?
always found that little storyline funny in a way. I don't know why.
It's interesting that they harp on it because we never get to the waterfall. And they kind of reference it at one point, and we spend more time in the cherry orchard where his mom's body was hung. And so I feel like that should have been more integrated personally. But yeah, no, that's fair, right? Um,
Yeah, but the you have to remember what the apple orchard uh, is
well, he explains
is
it. Yeah, he explains.
represent. Yeah,
Yeah, the whole like well he breaks down like the concept of like what is supposed to happen with the final girl, how she's supposed to empower herself,
she's
how she's supposed to.
empowering herself with cock.
There we
Like
are on
I'm
Cox and
like, this
Spades.
is
Yeah.
perfect.
Well, and
This
then
is perfect for Skip.
and then right, Cox and Spades.
I'm like, this is
And then
perfect
he's
for
like,
him.
it's deeply symbolic, is one of the lines he says right after that. But is also really appropriate because what you see in that interaction, we're jumping a little ahead down towards almost the conclusion of the movie. But what we see is the reason that he's doing that is because look at Taylor's reaction in those shots, right? Like she's a little aghast, she's almost sweating, like she's so uncomfortable by the way that he's talking, like casually like that. When he's breaking
Yeah,
down the whole use of genitalia as metaphor, right? And
which
and
I think that's kind of a nod to the fact of the twist in the movie.
It is, and that's one of the things I want to point out too. Like the foreshadowing is so subtle that you have to know the plot to recognize the foreshadowing. Like you'll get back to it. But that was one of the
And
things.
then
Like,
there's some that's just spot on the nose.
mhm.
If anyone else besides Kelly goes in that shed, he gets it with a post hole digger.
And then we get to see the postal digger later. It's
Yes,
fantastic.
yes. And then he actually kills the guy with the
With the
post hole
postal
digger.
digger, he
He
takes the
pulls
heart
out
out.
his heart
Yeah,
and then
puts it
puts
in his
the
hand.
beating heart in the guy's own hand. I'm like, yes.
All right, if you guys are wondering why we're laughing like a bunch of sick chimps, it's because we love horror movies, and horror movies to me, and I think to Dylan, are basically comedies. Like the more graphic
They
the horror
are.
is, the funnier that shit is. And I'm not saying violence is funny. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. I'm saying when you go into a horror movie, if it does not deliver tits and gore, you don't really want to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why would you watch it? Because that's what you want. And this movie actually does deliver both of those things, as it should. That's kind of gratuitous, don't you think? And he's like, now Taylor, who's telling the story, and it's just like straight up like shot of tits. You know what I mean? Uh,
And this is,
Again,
I love that. Yeah, who's telling the
who's telling the
story?
story? That's we'll get.
And
I
I
want to
do
get to that.
appreciate his storytelling because
Mhm.
it shows some nice tits.
Well, and then also we got to appreciate the storytelling. Let's just jump ahead and talk about that moment, because what we get to see in the time that he's telling that story is that we get to see the alternate version of the movie unfold, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Because and we're getting into spoilers right now. The fact is that he's misleading them. He's intentionally doing it, and the filmmakers and the writers are intentionally misleading us too. And so they do it in a way that's really cool because it's not the M. Night Shyamalan kind of way where it's like, here's the twist ending that has completely unsupported by this story. It's just because I thought of it at the end. It's we've deliberately set these little pieces out so that you can appreciate the twist and how it's not exactly what you
It's
thought
like
it
a game
was.
of chess.
Yeah,
It's
and
like a game of chess. I'm gonna have you take my queen, but I'm gonna put you in check.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna let you think that I'm doing these moves, so because I'm actually doing these moves, and you can see how both of them are supported. That the background that was happening while we were being led to believe something else, and so that's what I kind of want to point out about this film is I think that maybe some people were thrown by the twist, but like if you watch the film, it's actually really well composed. This is not just a trick ending or coming up with something, right? It's not that
Yeah,
the hero was killed or the villain was killed, but surprise, he's not actually dead. It's there's a good reason that it was set up this way, and there's a good as we get revealed that's the case that it was all very intentional. We see from the very beginning that Leslie is messing with them because he acts like he's not home when they show up for the interview, and then pop up surprise out of nowhere. And then he's doing this card trick where he's like, "Oh, do you have a deck of cards? Do you have a deck of cards?" And then he's like checking your front
yeah.
pocket to the cameraman
Well,
that we've never seen them
you
interact.
have to remember. Hold on. He shows off his pride and joy, which is his library.
Hmm.
And they ask him, "Are these he's like work related?" He's like, "Well, I wouldn't recommend
Reading
reading
Grey's
Grey's
Anatomy
Anatomy
for
for kids."
fun.
You know, but
uh,
he's like, "This is the fun stuff. Copperfield, Houdini." It's like sleight of hand and misdirection.
yeah, and
And then
it really
that's
does
when we
set
get
up.
to and that's when he's like, "Hey, do you have a deck of cards on you?"
Right.
And the guy's
And then who does he find the deck of cards
he's
on?
like, "Why would I think it's
It's
Todd."
Todd. It's Todd, which I think is really, really interesting because Todd, and we'll talk about this when we get we're close to the conclusion, but Todd really gets wrapped up. Todd, the cameraman, gets really wrapped up in this idea of how cool Leslie is, right? Which is crazy because that and Taylor keeps pointing it out, like he's like, oh, Todd's got Leslie's got really great taste. She is very hot. He says about this 17-year-old at one point, which is problematic, obviously. But
I don't think it's a 17-year-old. I think they're all 18 and up.
Well, I mean, she's in high school still, and all I'm saying,
Yeah,
you don't need to sexualize a
I'm
child.
just clarifying that I don't think he's
Oh,
that much of a,
you
because he's probably in his like mid 20s at this point.
okay?
So he's probably, you have to think about,
And
he's
let's
also
differentiate.
mentally ill. You
Well,
have to
let's
think about
differentiate
the fact
a
he's
couple of things.
mentally ill, so he basically, he probably isn't thinking with a full deck of cards.
You're referring to Leslie, his picking his like virginal final girl, and that's. But I'm talking about Todd, the cameraman. But like there is for one thing, all the actors who are in this movie are adults. They're obviously over the age of 18, and they're not actually high school students, which is fine for casting, and there's no problem there actually. And then also probably the age of the characters are much closer to each other too. That Todd is probably
Yeah.
in college, and so he's like 20 or 21, and she is 17, 18. So the age gap isn't huge.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out it's wrong to sexualize children.
Yes, I
Um,
agree with that.
yeah,
I'm just
and
saying,
that's
I
that.
thought we were talking about Leslie too, because
Yeah,
Leslie looks a lot younger than Todd does.
he does, yeah, and he probably, like he is probably of that age too. But the thing that I was pointing out was that it's really interesting how the trick was on Todd, that he's the one who's kind of like he's the one who's done, and then Todd thinks that's really cool, and then Todd continues to think that it's really cool that what Leslie is doing in a lot of ways. And so it's really fun for the storytelling, in my opinion, of how they get sucked into it. Very similar to like Man Bites Dog. There's a crew that's following this serial killer around, and they become part of the crimes too. And so in this story, that's what happens. Taylor, the interviewer, gets, even though she objects to what he's doing, gets sucked into it. And the cameraman Todd, even from behind the camera, we don't get to see his face until way late in the movie. He has lines that sucks him into it. Actually, part of the interview that we're referencing earlier, where he's talking about genitalia as metaphor. Todd is the one who asks the question. He's actually so into it that unless they answers his question off screen, and then he's all, oh, Taylor, you should ask that question. And so it's really
Yeah.
fun to me that's what they do very subtly is pull
I
Todd
love
into it.
how they talk about yonic imagery,
It's girl parts.
and they're like, yonic. Yes, exactly. He's like, it's girl
It's
parts.
girl
I'm
parts.
like,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and he talks about the Yannick being the opposite of phallic because she's arming herself with a phallus of a weapon, which is what final girls do, and then has to go through this Yannick rebirth of the birth canal to become who she is, and we actually see that happen in the film, which is super fun as a payoff, right? Um, One of the things that happens here, and we can move off this first introduction to Leslie Vernon, but the names of the turtles are Church and Zoe.
Zoe, Church and Zoe. Now, if people don't know who Church is,
Yeah.
go watch Pet Cemetery. That's the cat, Church the cat,
Ah, okay.
based off uh, based off Stephen King's cat Churchill.
Okay, gotcha. And then Zoe? I mean Zoe
Zoe
Rubenstein.
was from Poltergeist. Was the little girl in Poltergeist.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. So that they're making those two references. I couldn't tell what it was because I didn't remember those. Thank you for doing that, for clarifying it. I knew it was a reference. I just couldn't figure out what it is. Um, we then quickly come up to where he begins to explain what he's about to do. He's about to do this all night slaughter, as he should be, and so he starts explaining all the things that are necessary to do it. He has to have an anchor for his legend. He has to have a target group. He has to do this flyby that we
I
saw
love.
in the introduction.
Yep. I love when he takes them to the school.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's your bread and butter right there. Your jocks and your cheerleaders.
Those raging sack of hormones.
With raging sacks of hormones with healthy
Stoners,
libidos.
yeah, stoners are just there to pad the numbers.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Then over here you got your stoners. they don't move quite as fast as everyone else, so they're really good for padding your
Just padding
numbers
your
late in the
numbers
game.
late in the game, and we see that is the case with the film, which is super fun because it pays up to it. And we meet what he says. Did you see that? Did you censor? Did you get it? And then she's like, "Oh, is that your your final girl?" And it's just some random girl. He's like, "But you can tell she's a virgin. You see how we sensed each other." Um, it really
Yeah,
sets up how weird and creepy this dude is, but the way that again the way that he plays this character, it doesn't feel creepy. It feels like, yeah, just a guy doing his regular hobby, stalking people. um, so you're like,
now,
and part of the creepiness.
did you notice in this scene in the background
Hmm.
the girls in white doing
Hmm.
jump rope?
Yeah, the two jump rope girls. Yeah, intentionally framed. You'll see there's a tree. There's the girls
Yes,
framed
and they're
in the
not
middle of the
they're
shot, and
not
the virgin is passing in front of them. Yeah, like it's so intentional.
yes.
Please tell me what
Now
the
that
reference is.
now the girls doing jump rope, many of you will know if you love horror like we do. Nightmare on Elm Street, they always showed up. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3,
That's
4, you better lock your door. 5, 6, grab your crucifix. 7, 8, gonna stay up late.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
9, 10, never sleep again.
And actually, yeah, they one of the things too, if you're like, no, that can't be, they're just girls in the background. First of all, they're really out of place, like really out of place to have these girls in these like Easter dresses, basically white Easter dresses, doing these jump ropes. They are deliberately framed, and then also if you look at the credits, they're specifically like these actresses are listed as the girls who are in those dresses jumping rope. It's very intentional. Another Easter egg that's thrown in there for you. Um,
Or
just
we got a
fantastic.
reference, when they're talking about the different towns where all these tragedies like this happen. We have to point out the guy trimming the bushes in front of Freddy Krueger's house. That's my boy, Kane Hodder.
Wait, are you talking about the dude from the Hatchet?
Yep,
Huh.
that's Kane.
No way! That's so great. I didn't. I know.
The
So
fact he's just trimming the hedges, and then they try to talk to him, and he just walks in the house and slams the door.
that's so funny. And actually,
And
they do some other.
he's one of the nicest guys in real life, from what I
They go
understand.
by the Nightmare on Elm Street house too. They have footage of the Nightmare on Elm Street house, so they went to the location and shot that too. Um, uh,
Yeah, and then he's the guy outside of the Nightmare on Elm
yeah.
Street house trimming the
So
hedges, and then
they
he walks into the house.
he won't do the interview. I didn't recognize him. I'm glad that you pointed that out. That's awesome. Again, because Hatchet hasn't come out at that time, right? Hatchet's 2000.
Hatchet came out in 2006 as well, if I remember. Let me check.
Oh, okay. I got you. I didn't realize it had been around that long. I only recently discovered it because I was in Louisiana and people, it's a Louisiana-based film, or based in Louisiana. And so, it was a sleeper for me too, but so I might be wrong on the date. But no, that's really cool. They tied two icons together in the same shot, and that's the sort of like reason that you should love this movie.
Hatchet came out before Behind the Mask.
Wow. Okay, gotcha. So it's an obvious
Same
reference.
year, 2006.
That that right there, yeah. And so like yeah, to me, you gotta appreciate these guys, the work that they've done to do this. Where is the thing I'm looking for? All right. Yeah, so and that's man, there's so many different things. Oh, let's move for sake of time. Geez, we're running out of time. To the guy that we've talked about a little bit, the guy who's Eugene, the old pro, Mr. Wilson himself,
Yep,
uh,
Scott Wilson.
Scott
Yep.
Wilson,
When you meet him, they meet his wife,
who also
and they're
they
like,
give her
"So
a lot.
where's he?
Sorry, they give her a lot of props,
Hold
but
on, oh,
she's just a TV actress. Again, please continue. I cut you off.
Bridget Newton."
Yeah. And you'll see that, she has some credits, so, nothing to sneeze at. But like not a real well-known actress, not from the horror. genre
No,
either. So it's
but
interesting that she has such prominence. She does a good job. She does a passably good job.
I
Uh,
do love how they're like, she is hot. And I'm
yeah, he
like,
was. She's hot.
yes, she really was.
She is. Yeah, she's an
But
attractive woman.
that's kind of like that's kind of the thing, we find out um Eugene is out in the he's out in the tank,
Hold
as
up,
they say.
hold up. And
The
she
and
says the line, "Can you go get Eugene from the tank? I'm supposed to get him out. I just keep forgetting." And then when they dig him up, they're like, come on, old timer, because they think he's dead. He looks like he's dead. Come on, old timer, get up. And he's like, it's 6 o'clock. Is it Tuesday? No, it's Thursday. Like, he didn't tell me he'd been down there for 3 days. She just kept forgetting for 3 days.
yeah. Well, we find out their relationship is because uh
Because
she was his final
she
girl.
was the final girl. Yeah, and they don't say it. They don't say it, but it's insinuated where he goes, because they're setting up for the murder, the slaughter later, and she's like, what you got to do is you got to, if you're going to survive the night, you've got to keep your eyes on the horizon and just keep running. That's the only way to survive a horror movie, basically, right? And she's like, and I did. I just kept running, and he's like, and I caught you, and you did. Um, like it's cute that he's a serial killer and she's like the victim that somehow is like totally on board with this now, but he's retired,
like
so it's fine.
I love how we really get to know Eugene by being like, yeah, we just want you to give him a history of why we do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And like he starts talking about people, and when he starts talking, I think he thinks more like Ted Bundy and things like that is what he's talking about when he talks about the people that show up
Just
and
slaughter
then cause a
indiscriminately.
big mess.
Yeah, create a big mess. Yeah, and
And
he's
then
talking about the classic, like he's not talking about. I'm saying classic, like they should be celebrated. But he's talking about serial killers. He's talking about messy serial killers
yeah,
that and this is why the slasher genre really takes off, is because the '70s has a lot of serial killers that are getting caught, like Bundy. And then what if there was a dude who this is their whole mentality, right? And this is why the
but
slashers have become real
we gotta
interesting.
remember he was asked to cut up tomatoes.
Oh, he's chopping up carrots. Yeah,
Or carrots, tomatoes.
yeah,
He's asked to chop them up. And while he's doing it, like you just start hearing like slasher sounds as he's
yeah.
chopping
Ba, ba,
these
ba, 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 ba,
carrots.
ba. Yeah, and
And
he's like, he stabs the
like
cutting
it's
board.
just and when he stabs the cutting board, you see Taylor just
Yeah,
jump.
her.
You
Yeah,
see her jump and she's like, ah.
yeah. This is not cool. This man is really dangerous. Even though when we meet him, right? He seemed that he was dead. Yeah, he looked like he was dead in the
Exactly.
ground. He was not a threat to anybody. He's the actor is portraying him as just a nice old man. Sweet old guy who really wants Leslie to have a great, fantastic time. He also talks about why they do what they do, which I think is really interesting. Because why they do what they do is because what
The
Leslie,
world needs evil.
yeah, what Leslie points out is that in order to have, well, I think he says it, but in order to have good, you have to have evil. You have to have something to oppose it, which let me just point out is a silly idea because evil is basic and it just comes from human selfishness. It will exist. You don't have to make it
Well,
exist.
it's
Um, like
Well, the truth is you can't have one without the other. It's yin and yang.
I agree. I agree
You
with that premise.
that's
Absolutely.
why that's why when you look at a yin yang symbol, the black the black has a spot of white in it and the white has a spot of black in it. It's to represent the balance that in order to have good, you have to have a little bad that goes with it.
Well, okay,
Because
and
otherwise you won't be able to appreciate the bad.
let me just point out the
And
logic flaw real quick, because what essentially is what you're saying is the same as saying that when you never point a gun at somebody unless you intend to shoot them, right? That's essentially that's a true statement, which can be interpreted that If you point a gun at somebody accidentally, you should shoot them, which is
No, that's an illogical
well,
statement.
no, no, no,
That's
no. I'm saying that based off of the statement that I said, you could arrive at that false conclusion like that. And in the same way that because there is, in order for good to exist, you have to create evil. I think is the same illogical misstep. In that
yeah, no,
evil
you don't
will
have to
exist.
create it.
There you go.
But you have to accept you have to accept that with good comes evil. And with evil there's always going to be some kind of light trying to shine through
Well,
to make things better.
yeah,
That's why they always tell you when you're feeling down, when you're feeling in that dark spot, you look for a silver lining. You
yeah,
look for that little bit of light that's there so that you
and
can grab onto it and
100%.
try to find your way back to the light.
And that's I would agree that that is a really healthy way to look at that yin yang. And the way that they're taking it in this movie, just in case somebody's thinking that it's cool to be a serial killer or it's cool that they want to create their own slasher, that you don't have to
No,
create evil because evil already exists. Like it's more like it's harder for
exactly.
good to exist, and so you should fight for the good. So what I'm saying is their logic is absolutely flawed. It's not sound. But because their concept is this, right? Because in order for good to be good, you need to make evil happen. And I'm like, well, Leslie, no, that's an insane person speaking. Let's just clarify.
But they're both insane. We've already established they're both
100%, 100%.
insane.
But people, this seems to be a problem in general is that people have a hard time with like differentiating in media what is a hero and what's an anti-hero, especially in modern times, it feels like. And so
Oh yeah,
this is a great example in my opinion is that they're showing you an anti-hero because anti-heroes are supposed to show you what bad will happen if you're bad. They're supposed to show you the destructive path that these people are on. And we see this with Leslie, right? Is that if you're going to be a slasher, good's going to stand up against you and it's gonna try to oppose you. And that's what should happen. You should be
exactly.
your end should come if you decide to do evil. Good people should step up and be standing against you. And in 2026, I think that that's an important thing to say because we are in 2026 and there's a lot of evil that is just pure laziness that is manifesting everywhere and it only will be stopped by good and not the other way around. There's no reason to create evil like these men are suggesting. Um, so the little diatribe, which you were like, yeah, I've already agreed
Well,
with you since the beginning. No reason to harp on it. I'm like,
let's
yeah.
let's jump to the next scene
Real
actually
quick
because
before
this
we
is a
do, because
scene that
we're gonna miss an Easter egg if we do that, because I just want to call it the Easter egg.
oh, the Hellraiser cube,
You got
the
it. You got
Hellraiser
it. Yeah.
cube on the
So
table.
they're wrapping up. Yeah, they're wrapping up the conversation. She's got the doggy bag to go, and you see dead center in the middle of it on his coffee table. There's a Hellraiser cube, the mystery puzzle box that will bring the Cenobites to the location. Uh, so
Yep.
so we know that this dude he could open the torture device at any time, the torture vortex or whatever it's called. Um, and I just think it's funny that it's just casually sitting there on his coffee table. Anyway, and of course I love the director decided to make sure just like the girls are there, just like Church and Zoe are there, like the Hellraiser cube's there. But yeah, let's jump ahead to the thing because they start talking about this potential kill, and we begin to go see. We see it cut to the actual movie. The part of the movie where you were saying was a little bit choppy, because we have the interview going on. Taylor and her crew decide to join him in hassling and harassing Kelly to scare her, and then drop off this information that's fake about her uncle being involved. And we get to
Oh,
see.
I have a whole list of stuff. At the beginning, I didn't realize this. Taylor is standing in front of the Red Rabbit pub. This is a reference to the Red Rabbit matchbook found by Dr. Loomis in 1978's Halloween.
Okay, cool, cool. That's what I missed too. I mean, you're like you're a big fan of horror, same as I miss those. There's so many references in this movie. Again, that's why I don't get that this movie's been slept on so hard because it is like, I mean, it loves the horror as a genre. Like it loves it. So it's so silly to me that is what it is. But gosh, again, sake of time. This is in the library is when we get to see Zelda Rubinstein. She gives us the backstory of
Yeah.
how Leslie happened, and then we get to meet the character that was referred to as the Ahab, which is where we get to see Robert Englund show up, who played Freddy Krueger.
Which he shows up earlier after the initial scare at the diner.
He does
And
actually.
they ask, "Who's
Who's
that guy?"
that?
And he rushes them off. He's like, "I
Yeah,
don't know, it's some
well,
guy." And
I don't know.
he
Who cares?
rushes
Actually, he
them
says,
off.
"Who cares?" Which is nice foreshadowing because he says, "Not yeah, who cares?" He's not worried about that guy at all. And it's also interesting that he knows about Robert Englund's character. He knows about this Ahab before we introduced into it. So it's really interesting how
Yep.
that's the case to me. Um,
But this also leads to one of my favorite lines when they're getting hyped up in the library because they have to plant a fake article,
mhm.
like a piece of paper where Kelly will find it, and then she's gonna go look at the microfiche, the
Are,
microfilm.
are you talking about the? You talking about the book he finds?
Yeah, yes,
Also,
yes.
one of my
He's
favorite
like,
lines is Adam.
Paradise Lost. He's like,
He just reaches
found
back,
it. And he's
found
holding a
it.
copy of Paradise Lost. I fucking love that. That's just great little like
Unnecessary to the movie.
comedy in there.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. He's running around talking about terrorizing a girl, and he pulls up a book on hell, right? Like it's just like Thomas Milton's Paradise Lost. Found it. Um, again, so silly. This so silly how Leslie Vernon because what happens in this sequence is he's terrorizing a girl. He kills the librarian, or is planning to kill the librarian. Does she die or not?
Yeah, he kills her.
Okay.
He kills her.
Oh, that's right. He does kill her. He scares Kelly. That's when Ahab shows up, the Robert Englund's character, who actually is Doc
Doc
Halloran.
Halloran.
Yeah. And then he
Doc
gets
Halloran
shot.
shows up
He
and
gets sh
shoots him.
he gets shot. He's prancing around like a gazelle on top of the book stacks, and he gets shot. And then he leaps down casually. He's doing it barefoot too. And so like this transformation between this goofy dude who's telling us about his hobby and the fact that he's actually a murderer, and terrorizing people.
And it
He's in
really
full costume and
shows
makeup
how
at that
good
point.
he is at what he does because he's there in a t-shirt and stuff,
Hmm.
and then he comes out full costume.
Then he's in this. I think it's the first time we get to see the full Leslie costume, and it's so brief, and then it's just like, dang. And then it's the actual movie because the cinema quality changes. It's not the low cut that you see of like raw footage. It cuts to this very rich like cinema. And so like they're like, this is the movie, this is what we're watching. There's one shot that I want to call out only because
Hey,
you
give
know
me 1 second. Give me one
cinematography.
second. I will
Absolutely.
be right back.
Cool. I'm going to transition into something real quick, just as a reveal. So what we see is one of these shots is when it cuts back to the actual movie. There's this beautiful shot, very expensive, obviously, because it looks like it's a crane. I don't think drones are really happening at the time. I might be wrong about this in 2006. But it's this overhead shot that comes down on Kelly and then turns up to watch her and the librarian walk away from her. It's a beautiful shot. It's a huge difference between what we're seeing is the found footage shaky cam that's introduced in Blair Witch and like a traditional film horror film. Again,
I apologize.
you good?
I just had some horror happen in my trailer park.
Oh no, what has happened?
One of the neighbors' grandkids died. There's
While
blood. There was blood everywhere.
while
There's a CSI team over there right
while
now.
we're on
Jesus
while
Christ.
on air, a real horror is unfolding. Um,
Yeah, like Jesus Christ,
Friends,
dude.
you caught it here first on a live stream. That is happening currently.
Like
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. That yeah. So if you wanted us to make sure that we stress the difference between movie horror, which is funny, and real life horror, which is not funny, as actual
This is a
tragedy.
child.
Yeah.
This is a Like, this
Oh
is
my.
a child.
Oh my God.
Jesus
Do you need to
Christ.
go process that?
No, we can
Or
keep going. Uh,
we
I,
have a few more
I'm
minutes
dedicated.
left to do this. And y'all who are hearing this, thoughts and prayers to that kid and their family. We're only pressing on to finish the movie review so that you at home can hear it. That's that. Wow. I wish that didn't
That
happen
was,
in the middle of this.
yeah, like these kids play outside all the time. Like,
Uh, okay.
that's sad. That's like heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Anytime a child's life is lost, it is heart-wrenching because
Yeah.
uh it's not just someone dying. It's a life. It's a
Well,
life that never got to reach its full potential
that's what
being
I was gonna
snuffed
say.
out.
Yeah, the loss of potential, especially in a kid, because they haven't had the ability to even make their choices and mistakes yet. Again, thoughts and prayers with that family. And I'm sorry, in horror movies, we're talking about a bunch of kids getting slaughtered in this movie, and it's funny because it's gore. We know that the actors all went home afterwards. They appeared in other projects,
Yeah,
so we know
but
they're still alive. Much like Cannibal
when someone
Holocaust.
actually dies, it's
Yeah,
horrifying.
yeah. So again, the difference between, there's evil in the world and you need to make evil in the world is that, in case you were wondering, it is that.
There's
Um,
that's true evil that happened.
yeah, and that's what that
That's true evil.
it will exist because evil is dumb and lazy. That's what creates evil is stupidity and laziness. So actually, good for us to make this transition here because what we could do with Doc Halloran appearing in this movie, and I'm really only pushing on to finish the review because I would like to stop the show now, but we just finish the review. But Doc Halloran shows up and reveals that Vernon isn't Molly Vernon's son. He actually isn't related to the
His
family at
real
all.
name is Leslie Mancuso.
Mancuso, which shout out to one of my good friends who has passed, whose last name was Mancuso. When I heard it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Short Dog, pouring out for Short Dog, the rapper Short Dog Mancuso, from Louisiana, um, who died a few years ago. Yeah. So for me, it's just like I'm sorry that really threw me. Um,
I'm sorry. Do you want to
No,
stop?
no. I do. We're only a few minutes away from finishing this review. I would think it would be remiss for us to not for the people who are listening, but just know that really. I mean,
Yeah,
like, but the
that
because
was
you and I will talk after the show as we decompress, and if you guys are on our Discord, you can catch the after show there too when we hang out. If you aren't doing that. So you can go to coxinspace.com if you want to
yeah.
always check out and catch up with us to catch that sort of stuff. Know that we have fun times and we like to mess around, but also are real people who and autistic real people who feel things deeply and do need to process those things. So Dylan and I will catch up after this. We're not going to brush it over. But what we find out is that Leslie's been lying to them the entire time. That he's not
Yeah.
part of this legend. He is literally just a sociopath, psychopath who wants to be evil and decides that he's going to hurt people. Um, and so for us, that's really important because
That's when we get to the point of her going to the diner to try to talk to her.
yeah, and when we see the switch in
And
him, it's not just a fun documentary that he's making. That this is the thing that I might do one day. He's serious, and that's when he choke slams her against the van. Um, that's
yep,
when we
and
get
you
some.
really see his darkness come out. You know, you think you see the darkness when he kills Zelda Rubinstein, but
Mhm, mhm. And
the
really, that should have been
darkness
it.
really comes out.
It should have been it when they started stalking Kelly. That should have been it. Like when they should have start. It should have been it when
Yeah,
that first murder happened when he actually killed somebody as a way to like scare her. Right? But he doesn't.
right.
They don't
But
check out.
it doesn't because he's so charismatic and stuff. He kind of reminds me of a Jim Jones type character.
Yeah, Jim Jones, Ted Bundy. The reason that they were able to get away with their crimes and do the things that they did was because they didn't seem like they were a threat. Um, you know. Um,
Well, Jim Jones, he never actually killed anyone. He
Well,
was the leader of the People's Temple,
yes,
and he convinced people.
yeah, exactly. And the reason that I'm really wary of people who are very convincing and friendly, you know what I mean? He goes through. They decide whether or not they're going to do it. Kelly decides that she is on board to do it. They pull up to him when he's driving a Prius, which I think is funny because it's a 2005 Prius, I believe. It's just the exact make and model that I used to drive too. Because I was like, hold up, and it's the
Well,
same
we
color.
gotta point out the night that like they go and see Eugene again, and Eugene's giving him a lot of pointers
Hmm,
and
hmm.
stuff, and like final words, and you know
Because they're about to do the job.
we
They're about to start the slaughtering.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's where he does. Before that, he gives them the whole rundown of how he's gonna do it exactly,
Yeah, we get to see
and
the
that's
movie
where the
unfold.
misdirection comes in.
Yeah, what he's gonna do. That's where we get to see the gratuitous tits. In the basement, what he's gonna do, how he's rigged the whole thing, how the windows are nailed shut, how the branches are broken, how the weapons that they have available to him. He's already rigged the whole thing. He's got it set up. Now she asked him at one point. She's like, "Aren't you cheating?" And he's like, "Well, I'm severely disadvantaged here. Like, how can you call that cheating?" Essentially, he doesn't even see that. Like he's not giving them a fair chance. He never did. He didn't know. He
No,
didn't let them know that they were coming. That he's coming. He didn't. He's rigged the whole house. And he already knows the situation before they get there. And then he starts doing this misdirection, which is really cool because we get to see what's about to unfold in the third act and how it doesn't quite line up with what he's been saying. Um,
right.
yeah. So we get to see all of those. They go to the cherry orchard house, his ancestral family home house, to begin the killing, and they begin that
Yep,
process. After the
and
first two kills.
they're up in the on the second floor,
Hmm,
and he's like, all right, I'm gonna kill the first people in the bedroom, and
hmm.
he lets them get into having sex so that they're distracted, and you hear the moans and stuff, and then he walks in,
And
he
just you
walks
just hear
in
slashing
and
sounds. And this to me is so fantastic because this is like a classic horror move where you get to see the horror happen in your brain because it's not giving you all the visuals. This is the reason that Dracula is scary in the classic Bram Stoker's Dracula with Bela Lugosi,
yeah, like he
is
walks
because.
in there, he kills them,
Mhm.
and he comes back to them, and you can see the distress on all the people's faces. Like Taylor starts freaking out. She's like, "Turn that fucking camera off of me now.
Yeah,
Get it off of
yeah.
me." And he walks them out of the house. He's like, "All right,
Yeah,
everyone out.
everybody
Everyone
out.
out."
Right, everybody
And
out.
he
And he's like, why? And he's like, because you have that look, the we can't just stand here and watch this happen look, right? And
exactly.
yeah, and I'm like, yeah, of course. This is when we really love Taylor, is because we're like, you get it, like you cannot let this happen. Um, we've talked
Yep.
about a lot of the conclusion of it, and it switches over at that point when they decide to leave. He walks back into the house. They have a moment, and then she's like, "No, we can't actually let him do this." And then it cuts back over to the movie. It stops being a documentary and starts being the horror movie. Which I
Yep.
think that probably has thrown some people. It's a weird, choppy thing that you pointed out. That it's two different movies that are happening at the same time. Um,
Yeah, and we get to the point where they go in and they start trying to, basically throw a wrench in his plans.
Which is fantastic, right? Like, isn't that it's a cool thing? And then we find out that there is no wrench in his
That
plans.
Kelly is not
She's not a
the
virgin.
she's
She's not a
not a
virgin.
virgin.
She's
That
writing
I
reverse
think my
cowgirl,
favorite
bro.
line is I think one of my favorite lines is what kind of final girl bounces on the
Mother
nerdy guy's dick
Johnson,
like it's a pogo
like a
stick.
pogo stick.
Like a pogo stick.
And then she's like, "Oh, I'm in trouble just because I'm sexually active." Like, And so it's like, so then you begin to think that maybe Leslie doesn't know what he's talking about until a couple more people get killed, and we realize Leslie does know what he's talking about. In fact, he set up the whole thing because the final girl isn't the one. It's been a misdirection the entire time. The final girl's been a red herring. The actual final girl is Taylor because Taylor's the virgin, and Taylor's the one who got roped into it, and Taylor's the one who's fallen for Leslie's lies. Now, to me, this is a way better
Yep.
slasher movie than Nightmare on Elm Street, any of the sleepaway camps, any of the the Halloween movies, because the relationship between the killer and his victim. They know each other. They've been talking together. She knows the entire plan. You know what I mean? So for me, like this is the one where it gets like so creepy because like he has been messing with her the entire time. And when you look back at the foreshadowing when you
Yep.
rewatch this movie, you're
It,
like, "Ooh, dang, like Leslie is really more sinister than just a guy who likes to kill people. Leslie is a character who
yeah,
likes to play with his
he
victims."
he picked her from the beginning to
Yeah.
learn everything. He
Yeah.
molded her. He basically
hmm
groomed her into being a final girl.
You hit the name on the head. The grooming is the part exactly where it makes it real creepy, because she was there under the portend of a whole different thing, right? And actually,
Yeah.
he's been doing it since the beginning. That's why I think this movie is so great, is because all the pieces come together in this plan. Um, we have called out a lot of the kills, really fun. The stoners getting padding the numbers. Kelly, our final girl, actually dies. She does exactly what he says you'll do. That she'll break out a window, jump on a tree branch, hit the ground. One of the kills that I want to talk about, especially, is the Doug kill at this point, because Doug decides that he's going to try to sacrifice himself so that other people can get away. Doug's a larger dude,
Yeah.
and so it's
No,
more.
Todd.
Sorry,
Todd's
Todd.
the
I'm
one who
sorry, Todd.
sacrifices himself.
Yeah,
Doug survives.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Doug
I
survives.
did mean Todd because Todd's the one that, the card was in his pocket. The deck of cards was in his pocket. Todd's the one who begins to think that Leslie's really cool and they're kind of friends. I think that one of the things they fist bump right before Leslie goes back inside and is going to kill him, kill the people
Yep.
again. And so for me, like, and then Todd gets killed by Leslie, and Todd goes down
Yep.
being like, Leslie, you know me. Like, we're friends, we're cool. And actually, he goes, "Let me see your face," and peels off the mask, which lives up to the title, The Rise of Leslie Vernon Behind the Mask. And he peels up the mask, and what we see is that it's not the mask that makes Leslie the killer. Like, Leslie is the killer because he wants to kill
Leslie.
people, you know?
Yeah, like he doesn't even hesitate to kill Todd.
Mm-mm. Nope. There's no, and this is what I love about this actor too. Like what I love about Nathan Basil is that the character that we saw previously, the fun-loving guy who's just a goof and having a fun time and whatnot, like the devoid of anything as he's killing Todd when he's on him and his mask's above his head and he's not the creepy mask killer. He's the dude that we know. That to me is one of the scariest kills in this movie, because you're like, oh yeah, some people they just be like that. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's
But
terrifying.
we get to the point where everything that he said was going to happen
hmm
starts happening.
It does.
And she eventually, I think one of my favorite parts is where Doc Holleran pops up and
hmm
like stops him from like killing her.
Yeah.
And
Well, first, wait,
she's
hang on.
like, "Hey, Doc."
Doug
Like
first
she
gets hit in the face with a shovel by Doug. Uh, when he
yeah,
first shows up, which I think is fantastic. I mean, for one of the heroes to take out the other hero, so funny. And then he does, like Leslie does he gets the side at him. We think that he's dead. Um, which is another great one. There's a showdown, just like you're saying. We see this one shot that was supposed to be Kelly going down the slide is actually now Taylor going down the slide, the grain slide.
yep.
It's her that goes into the apple orchard. It's her who grabs the axe that she knows is broken. It's her that it's like she whips off her sweater and she screams that like we're gonna do this, Leslie. So she does empower herself in a lot of ways. She becomes the final girl that we want her to
Yep.
be. They get
And
into the
then,
apple press, and she does the thing.
the pressing room, and
hmm
she knocks him down, drags him over, and
hmm
pushes his head into into the apple crusher
Yeah.
and starts
She
turning it on him.
Yeah, and he whispers.
And he stopped.
I never heard this
He,
in the previous times I've seen it, but he says a great line.
I knew it was you.
I knew it was
I
you.
knew
I knew it
it
was you.
was you.
And again, so creepy. He picked her. He picked her to do this.
Yep.
He picked her to do this to him. Like, and so, like, how, like, he wants to be defeated. I'm gonna put that in quotes. He wants her to step up and to do that. And how sinister this whole movie is, that it's been a game for our to entrap our main character into murder. Um, and she does a reasonable thing, that she just can't believe she's done this, and she wants to end this, and so she sets the pressing
And
room on
so she
fire.
sets the whole place on fire.
I love it. That's such a
And
great
I
conclusion.
think one of my favorite lines was Doc Holler being
Hmm.
like, "He was just a man.
Well, he
He was
asks
just
that.
a man."
Yeah, Todd asks, "Who is he?" And then Doc says, "He's
Doug
just."
asks,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're correct. Doug asks, "He's just a man. He's just a man." Um, and I think it really it does the whole thing, the serial killer and the slasher thing, because it satisfies both those things. That Leslie's plot was concluded, and Doc wants to remind us that there's monsters that walk among us. That sometimes people get so deranged that they will do something like this. Um, so yeah, great movie. The only thing that we need to talk about is the credits scene, which I think to me
"Yep."
is what makes this
Where they
movie.
play the talking heads.
Yeah, Psycho
They play
Killer.
the talking
Yeah,
heads, and you see the mortician.
yeah. Just
Uh,
casually doing the mortician
sorry, the
thing.
coroner.
Yeah,
The
there you go. Yeah.
coroner. He's a coroner. He pulls out the body, and he's getting set up to do an autopsy and stuff. And as the end of the song "Psycho Killer" by the Talking Heads
Hmm.
plays, Leslie sits up on the table.
100%. Now, there's two things that I love about this, is that there's no dialogue. It's playing during the credits, so it's something that like they're like, oh, if you're not a person who generally sit through the credits, you're going to miss this. They don't you don't know that it's Leslie, because it's really like it's a CCTV shot. So you have to
Oh,
assume.
you kind of you know it's
Well, I
Leslie,
mean,
the way he's dressed
well,
and the way.
here's the thing I want to point out is that they're not explicit about it, right? Like they don't
No,
they don't
no,
handhold you to do it.
it's
They let you know that, hey, given the sequence of events that we know that he's wearing a flame retardant thing, that he wouldn't give up, that he probably rigged everything. When that body sits up, you go, oh, this is crucial information. This isn't just a wrap-up scene. This is saying that, hey, there's a potential sequel here, that Leslie's reign of terror will continue. And
yeah.
I just love it, cinematography, story-wise, that the show don't tell aspect of it, and that the coroner in that shot doesn't even react. The coroner doesn't know that something's about to happen,
No,
right? Like he has his back to him, and the
no,
body
it's
sits up.
very reminiscent of
Cut to black.
I think it's one of the Friday the 13th films where Jason kills someone in the morgue.
Yeah, and they do it in I mean they reference it in that new horror movie, The Terrorizer. There's the whole opening in, I think, Terrorizer 2, that starts in the morgue. Because this idea that these creatures, I think Freddy introduced it too, that they're not real anymore. They're not human anymore. They've actually been taken over by
No, they're not.
some sort of thing, right? That makes them this type of evil. And I think
Yep.
that's like an important thing to note, too. So, wow, I love this movie. We have a couple more minutes to
I
talk about
absolutely love
any
this
other
movie,
comments we want to make.
and if honestly, I think we've covered everything about this movie that we can.
Yeah, in some
And
ways, yeah. As far as the wrap up goes with it, it's really disappointing that there hasn't been a sequel. And I know that it's been rumored that
well,
there's going to
there's
be a
one
sequel.
there. It was just announced they're in like pre-production or something.
Well, yeah, it hasn't actually been announced, because I couldn't, like, you'd think that they would post that on the IMDb, and like you think that, say, Nathan Basil would be very ecstatic to make sure that it's known. I couldn't find that it was actually officially talked about. For 20 years, a sequel has been talked about. I know that that's the case, because people have been begging for a sequel to this movie since then. And so, do you have any like official source on that?
Variety,
Really? So Variety is like,
April 9th, 2026 at
okay,
8 p.m. They said Behind the Mask sequels set after 20 years, reuniting original director and cast for the return of Leslie Vernon.
really? Okay, and I would 100% watch that. We will do a review of that, even though it's probably going to fall outside our general sick flicks concept because it's a modern
Well, we
movie.
have to.
But we do really have to review the Return of Leslie Vernon because I have been waiting for that movie since I have seen this movie. Like every time a new slasher comes out and it's not Return of Leslie Vernon, I'm like, okay, but y'all realize that we missed one of the greatest, right? You haven't,
Yeah,
haven't.
like I think my favorite scene is when he's putting on the makeup too.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like a grouper fish.
That's really funny. Yeah. No way. And that is it is a really good scene. Actually, I want to talk about his acting in that scene because something happens really organic. You can't do. He's putting on a blob of like latex. I think this is what they're using, liquid latex, and it like gumps up in a weird way, and you see him like pull it and play with it, which is just the
Yeah,
actor living in that moment. And again, one of the reasons why I think this guy is such a great actor is because on camera, I don't know if you've done acting in camera or acting in general, Dylan, but to live in a moment when it's live and there's a camera rolling and you're trying to recite your lines and hit your blocking and everything, being sincere, that's not easy to do. Like delivering lines woodenly is easy to do. Delivering them with any sort of like reality that responds to the moment that you exist in, that's talent. And again, I don't know why he hasn't gotten more
yeah,
work.
I agree. He was a very talented actor.
Yeah, he
All
he
right, my
lives there.
friend, we got to wrap up though
We do. Yeah.
because I have one of my neighbors going off on me for not filling her in on all this stuff that happened. I didn't even know this is what
Oh,
happened.
geez, like it's
And
your
now
responsibility.
yeah, like
Okay.
she's an older neighbor, so she
Okay.
doesn't get out very much.
Fair.
And
Fair.
so now I have to go talk to an angry Romanian lady about why I didn't inform her of the neighborhood gossip. And I'm like, because it wasn't my damn business.
It's not. It's not. I laugh only because you're put in a terribly awkward situation, not of course because of the tragedy that happens. And thank you guys for reviewing this movie with us and listening to the end. This has been Sick Flicks with Dylan and Skip. I am Skip Mirage, your
All
host
right.
and friend, doing a
You
behind the
can
scenes
find me
podcast, Cox and Space, and Dylan, your socials.
You can find me on all social medias at Autistic Spitfire Comedy, except on Facebook. You can find me under my government name, Dylan Patrick Farr. Please give me a like and subscription and follow me. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, check him out. He is very funny. He posts his stand up there too, so you should definitely check that out. Thank you for following us and doing this. We don't love real tragedy. We love movie tragedy because that is fun, not real
Yeah,
tragedy.
because movie tragedy, and even some movie tragedy, hits me in the heart.
Well, I mean, and hopefully if they're doing it well, it does too, so it feels real. But like this sort
Yeah,
of thing is the loss of a kid and having to deal with the whole community who's affected by that. So again, thank you for sitting
yeah.
through this with us, and Dylan will let us know. And we are signing off. So good to see you all, and we
All
will
right.
talk to you
Thank
all
you,
soon.
Skip.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.